For 6 years running, my days followed the exact same shape. Up at 5 a.m., unlock the small bakery I manage, bake the bread, serve the customers, lock up at 8 p.m., head home to an apartment with nobody in it. Nothing about my life qualified as exciting. Divorced, no kids, no hobbies to speak of. I wasn't really living so much as passing through the days. Then one evening, a little girl showed up in the alley behind the shop while I was tossing out the day's unsold pastries. She looked about 8, dressed in dirty clothes, her hair a tangled mess, but her eyes were sharp, alert, determined. She looked straight up at me and asked a question that cracked something open in my chest. Do you have any expired cake? Not fresh cake. Not good cake. Expired cake. Like decent food wasn't even something she expected anymore. Just scraps. Leftovers. That night, I handed her 2 pieces of chocolate cake. She thanked me and took off running. I figured that was the end of it. But she kept coming back. Every night, for weeks straight. Always polite. Always asking for expired cake. Always taking exactly 2 pieces, one for herself, one for her little brother. Eventually, I started to worry. Then one night, I followed her, and what I found changed the entire direction of my life. Before we get into it, have you ever met someone whose quiet strength completely humbled you? Tell me about it in the comments. And if you're drawn to stories about unlikely connections and how a single act of kindness can end up saving more than one life, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let me tell you about Naya, the 8-year-old who ended up teaching me what real courage looks like. My name's Nolan Moore, and I manage Rose's Bakery on the outskirts of Seattle. It isn't mine, technically. I run it on behalf of the owner, Mrs. Rose, 78 years old and mostly retired these days. The pay is fair, the work steady, and the customers are regulars who greet me by name. A good job. A safe one. And ever since my divorce 6 years back, safe was exactly the word I needed. I just started this job, right as everything else in my life was falling apart. My ex-wife, Caroline, used to tell me I had no ambition. You're 28, Nolan. You should want more than this. More than managing someone else's bakery. More than this tiny apartment. More than this. She met me. I wasn't enough for her, so she left, remarried a software engineer 2 years later, and now they have a baby. I still catch the photos on Facebook sometimes before I remember I'm supposed to stop looking. I don't blame her, honestly. She wanted a life that was actually moving somewhere. I was the one standing still. But standing still felt safe, and after the divorce, safe was about all I could handle. It was a Tuesday night in late August the first time I saw her. I was closing up around 8 p.m. Business had been slow all day, typical for a Tuesday. Most of the bread had sold, but I still had leftover pastries, croissants, muffins, 2 big, untouched slices of cake. Company policy is strict. Nothing older than 12 hours gets sold. Fresh or nothing, Nolan. That's how we keep customers, Mrs. Rose always said. So every night, I bagged up whatever hadn't sold and tossed it in the dumpster out back. Wasteful, sure, but policy is policy. I was walking toward the dumpster with the trash bag in hand when a small voice stopped me cold. Excuse me, sir. I turned around. A little girl stood at the mouth of the alley, maybe 8 years old, thin, too thin, wearing a pink t-shirt stained down the front, and jeans clearly a size too big. Her dark hair looked like it hadn't seen a brush in days. But her eyes, God, they were bright brown, sharp, determined. Do you have any expired cake? She asked. I blinked. What? Expired cake? Or bread? Anything you're throwing away. How old are you? 8. Where are your parents? They're waiting for me. She said it fast, rehearsed, like she'd fielded that question plenty of times before. Do you have any expired cake? I glanced down at the bag in my hand. Inside sat 2 perfectly fine slices of chocolate cake. Only 12 hours old, still moist, still delicious, expire by nothing but an arbitrary rule. Yeah, I said. Hold on. I set the bag down, pulled the cakes out, found a clean container by the back door, packed them both inside, and handed it over. Here, they're from today. Still good. Her whole face brightened. Thank you. What's your name? Naya. I'm Nolan. Are you sure you're okay? Do you need? I have to go. Thank you. And she ran, gone down the alley and around the corner before I could get another word out. I stood there holding an empty trash bag, trying to figure out what had just happened. Naya came back the next night. Same time, right as I was closing. I'd already set aside 2 slices of lemon cake for her, waiting in a container. You came back, I said. Do you have some expired cake? I saved you some. Here. She took it carefully, almost like it might break. Thank you. Naya, where do you live? Nearby. Do your parents know you're here? Yes. Are they? Are they okay? Do you need help? We're fine. Thank you for the cake. And she ran again. She kept coming back every single night after that. For 3 straight weeks, Naya showed up at exactly 8, unfailingly polite, always with the same question, do you have any expired cake? I stopped throwing anything away, started saving the best pieces just for her. I tried, gently, to learn more, where she lived, who her parents were, why an 8-year-old was wandering around alone at night begging for leftover food, but she never gave me anything solid. What's your last name? I can't tell you. Where do you go to school? I don't. Why not? I just don't. Can I have the cake? I always handed over 2 pieces. Is one for you and one for someone else. My little brother. His name is Jude. He's 5. He loves cake. What about your parents? They're not hungry. That answer twisted my stomach, but I didn't push further. Some part of me worried that pressing too hard would make her disappear for good. And for reasons I couldn't fully explain at the time, I needed her to keep showing up. Maybe because my own life was so hollow. Maybe because helping her was the first thing in years that it felt like it actually mattered. Or maybe because every time I looked at this tiny girl asking for expired cake, I saw someone who genuinely needed help. I'd spent 6 years helping no one, not even myself. For weeks in, I started to really worry. She was getting thinner, her face more drawn, her eyes more exhausted. One night, she stumbled reaching for the container. I caught her arm. When's the last time you ate? This morning. Naya, I'm serious. When? She looked down. Yesterday. Jesus Christ. Sit down. I can't. I need to get back to Jude. Sit down for 5 minutes, please. She hesitated, then sat on the curb by the back door. I went inside, made her a ham and cheese sandwich, poured a glass of milk, brought both out. Eat. She tore through the sandwich in 4 bites and drained the milk in 3 gulps. I made her a second one. She ate that too, slower this time, clearly trying to save half. For Jude? I asked. She nodded. Naya, where is Jude right now? Home. Where's home? I can't tell you. Why not? Because if I tell you, you'll call someone and they'll take us away. Take you away from who? She didn't answer. Naya, are your parents hurting you? My parents are dead. The words hit like a punch to the chest. What? There was a fire from months ago. They died. Oh my God. Naya, I'm so sorry. Where are you living? Who's taking care of you? I'm taking care of Jude. I have to go. She stood, grabbed the container, and ran before I could stop her. I didn't sleep that night, lying awake staring at the ceiling, replaying it all. 8 years old. Parents dead. Caring for a 5-year-old alone. Living where, exactly, and how? I searched missing children Seattle online and found nothing matching Naya or Jude. I called the non-emergency police line. I think I know a homeless child. What do? The operator told me to call Child Protective Services and gave me a number. I hung up without dialing it. If I called CPS, they'd take Naya and Jude, drop them into foster care, probably split them apart. And Naya had told me herself, they'll take us away. She was protecting her brother. That was the whole reason she wouldn't tell me where they lived, why she bolted every single night. But she was 8. She couldn't raise a 5-year-old on her own. She was starving. He probably was too. I had to do something. The next night, I made up my mind. When Naya showed up at 8, I handed her the usual container, plus a bag stuffed with sandwiches, fruit, and water bottles. This is for you and Jude for the next few days. She thanked me. Naya, I need you to listen to me. I'm not going to call anyone. I'm not going to take you away from Jude. But I need to know you're safe. Can you show me where you're staying? No. Why not? Because you'll make us leave. I won't. I promise. I just want to make sure you're okay. She stared at me for a long stretch. Then, if I show you, you have to promise. You can't call the police. You can't call anyone. You can't make us go to foster care. I promise. Say it again. I promise, Naya. I won't call anyone. I won't make you go anywhere. She studied my face, then nodded. Okay, follow me. Naya led me 6 blocks from the bakery, walking fast and silent, glancing back every few seconds to check I was still behind her. We ended up in an abandoned lot behind a shuttered grocery store, weeds pushing up through cracked asphalt, and tucked in the back corner sat a rusted-out sedan, no wheels, windows cracked, obviously untouched for years. Naya walked up to it and opened the back door. Inside, a little boy lay curled up on the seat, wrapped in a filthy blanket, asleep. Jude. He looked impossibly small for 5, pale, his breathing shallow. "He's sick," Naya whispered. "He's been sick for a while. What's wrong with him?" "I don't know. He gets really tired and shaky and confused, but when I give him cake, he feels better for a little while." My chest clenched. "Naya, how long have you been living here?" 2 months. We were in foster care before that, but they said they were going to send Jude to a different family, so we ran away. "You've been living in this car for 2 months?" She nodded. "It's not so bad in the summer, but it's getting colder at night." I looked at that broken-down car, the busted windows, the thin blanket, the sick 5-year-old inside. "Naya, you can't stay here. We don't have anywhere else." "Yes, you do. You can stay with me." She stared at me. "My apartment. It's small, but it has heat and food and a real bed. You and Jude can stay there until we figure something out." "You're not going to call the police?" "No. I promija." "Or foster care?" "No. Why would you do that?" "Because you're 8 years old and you shouldn't be living in a car." Tears filled her eyes. "If they take Jude away from me, I'll die." "They're not going to take him away. I'm not going to let that happen." I carried Jude to my car. He barely stirred, mumbled something unintelligible, and dropped straight back to sleep. Naya climbed in beside him, holding his hand the whole ride. Back at my apartment, I laid Jude on the couch. He was burning up. "When did he get sick?" I asked. "He's always sick," Naya said. "For months, he gets really weak and shaky. And he's always thirsty." "Does he eat?" "Not much. He says food makes him feel weird." "Naya, I need to take him to a doctor." "No, they'll call social services." "He needs help. Look at him." She looked at his pale, sweat-slicked face, his shallow breathing. "If you take him to a doctor, will they take him away from me?" "I won't let them, I promise." She stayed quiet a long moment, then whispered, "Okay." I got Jude to the emergency room by 11 that night. I told the staff I was his uncle, that his parents had died, that I was his temporary guardian. Not the truth, but close enough to hold up. They ran test after test. Naya sat beside me in the waiting room, gripping my hand the entire time, silent, no tears, just holding on. 2 hours later, a doctor came out. "Mr. Moore, can I speak with you?" I stood. Naya stood with me. "She's his sister," I said. "She can hear this." The doctor crouched down to Naya's height. "Your brother's going to be okay, but he's very sick right now. Do you know what hypoglycemia is?" Naya shook her head. "It means his blood sugar is very low. Dangerously low. That's why he's been weak and shaky and confused. His body isn't getting enough sugar to function properly." "But I gave him cake," Naya said. "Lots of cake. That's sugar, right?" "Yes. And that actually helped. The cake gave him temporary boosts of sugar. But the problem is his blood sugar keeps dropping. He needs regular meals, protein, healthy food. And he needs to see a doctor regularly to make sure this doesn't happen again." "Is he going to die?" Naya's voice barely made it out as a whisper. "No, not if he gets the care he needs. But if he'd gone much longer without help," the doctor glanced at me, "another week or 2, and he could have gone into a coma. You got him here just in time." They kept Jude overnight for observation. I stayed in the chair by his bed, Naya curled up in the second chair, finally asleep. I sat there watching them both, 2 kids who'd spent 2 months living in a dead car, who'd lost their parents, who'd fled a system determined to split them up. And I kept thinking about the question the intake nurse had asked when we arrived. "Are you his legal guardian?" "Temporary guardian. Parents deceased." She typed something into her computer, nodded, moved on. "But I wasn't his guardian. I was just a stranger who ran a bakery and gave expired cake to a homeless kid. If the hospital found out the truth, they'd call CPS, and Jude and Naya would vanish into the system, separated for good. Unless I did something about it." The next morning, Jude woke up looking better, still pale, but his eyes were clear again. He glanced around the room, confused. "Where am I?" You're in the hospital, I said. You were sick, but you're okay now. He spotted Naya asleep in the chair beside him. Naya, she's fine. She's just tired. Who are you? My name is Nolan. I'm a friend of your sister's. Are you going to take us away? No, I'm going to help you. People separate us. I'm not going to separate you, I promise. You promise? I promise. Jude studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. I brought Naya and Jude home to my apartment the next day. Jude was weak, but stable. The doctor had given me instructions: regular meals, high-protein snacks, monitor his blood sugar, follow up with a pediatrician within a week. I set the kids up in my bedroom and gave them the bed, took the couch myself. Naya looked around the apartment like she'd never seen the inside of one before. This is where you live? Yeah. It's so big. It was 600 square feet, one bedroom, barely enough space for one adult. To her, it looked like a mansion. You can stay here as long as you need, I said. What if someone finds out? Then we'll deal with it. They'll separate us. Not if I can help it. For the first 3 days, Naya and Jude barely left the bedroom. I brought them food, made sure Jude ate every few hours, checked on them constantly. Naya watched me like a hawk, clearly bracing for the moment I'd call someone and give them up. I never did. On the 4th day, Jude wandered out of the bedroom on his own when I got home from the shop. Nulan. Hey, buddy. How are you feeling? Better. Can I watch TV? Sure. He curled up on the couch, watched cartoons, and laughed for the first time since I'd known him. Naya stood in the doorway watching him, then watching me. Thank you, she said quietly. You don't have to thank me. You could have called the police. You didn't. I promised I wouldn't. People break promises. I don't. She looked at me a long while, then nodded. Okay. A week later, I made a decision. I was lying awake on the couch at 2 in the morning, staring at the ceiling, running through everything. 2 children living in my apartment illegally, and I wasn't their guardian, wasn't even related to them. If it came out, I could be looking at kidnapping charges. Naya and Jude would be pulled away, dumped into foster care, split apart. But if I did nothing, what then? They couldn't stay hidden here forever. Jude needed regular medical care. Naya needed to be in school. They needed real stability, real safety, a real home, and someone who wouldn't let anyone tear them apart. I grabbed my phone and searched how to become a foster parent in Washington State. It was a long road, background checks, home visits, training courses, references, but it was possible. If I got licensed, I could take Naya and Jude in legally and keep them together. I started the application that same night. The next morning, I told Naya what I was doing. I'm going to become a foster parent, so you and Jude can stay with me, legally. She looked terrified. They'll find out we ran away. Probably. But if I'm your foster parent, they can't separate you. Are you sure? No, but I'm going to try. Why? Because you're a kid. You shouldn't be living in a car. And you shouldn't have to choose between staying together and being safe. What if they say no? Then we'll figure something else out. What if they take us away? I won't let them. She started crying. For the first time since I'd met her, Naya, the brave 8-year-old who'd been holding her brother together for months, finally broke. I'm so tired, Nolan. I'm so tired of being scared. I pulled her into a hug. I know, but you don't have to be scared anymore. I've got you. The foster licensing process dragged on for 4 months. Background checks, home visits, training, endless paperwork. Through all of it, Naya and Jude quietly lived with me. I kept them out of sight as much as I could, homeschooled Naya using free resources online, got Jude to the doctor regularly by paying out of pocket and claiming he was my nephew. It was nerve-wracking the whole time. Every knock at the door could have been CPS. Every phone call could have ended it all. But slowly, the 2 of them relaxed. Naya smiled more. Jude laughed more. They started calling my apartment home. And somewhere in there, I realized something about myself. I wasn't stuck anymore. 6 years of waking up, working, coming home, repeating, a life with no real shape or purpose. But now, I woke up and made breakfast for 2 kids who needed me. I came home and helped Naya with math homework. I played card games with Jude before bed. I wasn't just existing. I was actually living. The social worker showed up at my apartment on a cold Tuesday in December. Her name was Ms. Alvarez, in her 50s, professional but warm. She interviewed me, walked through the apartment, asked about my income, my background, why I wanted to foster. Then she asked to speak with Naya and Jude alone. I prepped them, told them to just be honest, told them it would be fine, but I was terrified underneath it all. Ms. Alvarez sat with Naya in the living room, while Jude stayed with me in the kitchen playing with toy cars I bought him. I couldn't make out their conversation, but I could see Naya's face through the doorway, serious, focused. After 20 minutes, Ms. Alvarez came back. "Mr. Moore, I need to be honest with you." My stomach dropped. "Okay." Naya told me everything about living in the car, about running away from foster care, about you taking them in without legal authority. "I know it looks bad. It looks like you saved their lives." I blinked. "What?" "Naya and Jude were reported missing from their foster placement 4 months ago. We've been looking for them. If you hadn't taken them in, if you hadn't gotten Jude medical care." She paused. "Jude would likely be dead. So what happens now?" "Now, I recommend that you be approved as their foster parent. Officially, legally." "Are you serious?" "You've provided a stable home. You've kept them together. You've prioritized their well-being over legal technicalities. That's exactly what foster care is supposed to do." She smiled. "Congratulations, Mr. Moore. You're going to be a foster dad." Naya and Jude officially became my foster children that January. The night the paperwork went through, we celebrated with cake, fresh cake this time. Jude ate 3 slices. Naya had 2. "Is this really happening?" Naya asked. "We get to stay. You get to stay. For as long as you want. What if we want to stay forever? Then we'll figure that out too." She smiled, a real, unguarded smile. "I'd like that." 6 months after that, I started adoption proceedings. Ms. Alvarez walked me through the process, which took another full year, hearings, evaluations, more paperwork than I thought could possibly exist. But on a sunny day in July, a judge signed the final papers. Naya and Jude were mine, officially, legally, permanently, forever. After the hearing, we went straight to the bakery. I closed it for the day, and Mrs. Rose understood completely. Naya and Jude ran behind the counter playing at being bakers. "Nolan, can we work here someday?" Jude asked. "If you want to." "I want to. I want to make cake. So other kids who are hungry can have some." Naya looked at me. "Like you did for us." "Yeah, like that." That night, I tucked Jude into bed. He was 7 now, healthy, happy, thoroughly obsessed with cats and chocolate cake. "Nolan." "Yeah, buddy. Are you our dad now?" "If you want me to be, I want you to be. Is that okay?" "That's more than okay." He hugged me. "I love you, Dad." I cried in the hallway once I'd shut his door behind me. Naya was on the couch reading a book about dragons I'd bought her. "Hey," I said. "Hey, you okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "About that night, when I first asked you for expired cake." "What about it?" "I was so scared. I thought you'd say no, or call the police, or tell me to go away." "Why didn't you ask someone else?" "There are other bakeries." "I did. 3 other places. They all said no." "Or," she paused, "they ignored me. You were the only one who said yes." "I'm glad I did." "Me too." She was quiet a moment. "Nolan, do you ever think about how different things would be if you hadn't?" "All the time. Jude would be dead, and I'd probably be dead too. Or we'd still be in that car. Alone. But you're not. You're here. You're safe. Because of you. Because you were brave enough to ask for help, even when everyone else said no." She smiled. "We saved each other." "Yeah, we did." 2 years later, Naya is 11 now, smart, confident, set on becoming a doctor. She says it's because doctors save people like Jude, and she wants to save other kids the same way. Jude is 8, healthy, loud, completely obsessed with baking, and he helps me at the shop every Saturday. Mrs. Rose calls him the little chef. And me? I'm 37, a father, not a perfect one. I still mess up all the time, but I keep trying every single day. My life isn't stuck anymore. It's full, chaotic, exhausting, beautiful. People sometimes ask me, wasn't it scary taking in 2 kids you didn't even know? And I always tell them the truth. It was terrifying, but walking away would have been worse. Because 2 years ago, a brave little girl asked me for expired cake. And instead of saying no, instead of looking past her or calling the police or pretending I hadn't seen her at all, I said yes. And that one small choice ended up changing 3 lives, hers, Jude's, and mine. Have you ever had a moment where a small act of kindness changed everything? Or met someone whose quiet bravery humbled you? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about unexpected families and how one act of compassion can save more than one life moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like it.